Welcome back, folks, to another episode of 1AA Parlays on the Fans Nation Network. I'm your host, Colby Peterson, and joining me, as always, from chilly Chicago, the one and only Montana Parlay. Parlay, big weekend last week. I remember texting you day of the game saying, "Oh man, I think I'm going to bet Montana State to cover," and they sure didn't.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't post the line less than 21. I would have lost a lot of money. Thankfully, they won. Thankfully, I bet Yale plus 28.5. But if they would have lost that one, which easily could have happened, a few bounces don't go their way, or, just go Yale's way, and I would have had to cash a lot of receipts. If you paid attention on Twitter, me and the old Yale folks were going back and forth. Good-natured, of course. But I made a comment that I don't travel for blowouts. And, I think I'm just going to say Yale's good. I don't know. I mean, we'll get into it here. But
credit to them, right? Credit to them. They went on the road in their first playoff run, and they played number 2 really well in a tough stadium. That's a tough place to win.
Stadium with the most fans in it on last Saturday. So
yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that coming up, but I did think that was a little weird. But all right, so like we said, we're going to recap last week a little bit, and then we will give Parlay the mic and give him time to do his Parlay Preaches section before we hop into not just the lines for next week, but also futures for the national championship, now that we've had the seismic change of the Bison losing to Illinois State last week in Fargo. So let's start with the recap, Parlay. Let's start right there. The Bison lose to Illinois State in a game that I think shocked basically everybody. Everybody pretty much had the Bison penciled to win in Nashville this season, pretty much all season, right? And so that was a really, really surprising game. I mean, from where you were sitting, what did you see?
Well, I am a little Montana-centric, obviously.
Right. I mean, we're both sort of Big Sky guys, right? Like we don't watch a ton outside of our conference, but the Valley we obviously pay attention to, and number 1, of course, we pay attention to.
Absolutely. And so, when the bracket was set, there was a lot of bitching and moaning about, what the Grizz were going to get, even to a certain extent what the Cats were going to get before Youngstown and the probable Peyton winner went out with Yale's huge comeback. But very little, if anything, was said about North Dakota State having to play a quite good Illinois State team with a great QB of their own. Now, They should still win.
He did have 5 picks, though, which stunned me. I was like,
picks and still won.
5 picks and still won. Like, wow.
So since you brought that up, I want to dig into this. The ESPN highlights show the 2 late TDs and the 2-point conversion, as it should. And I thought going for 2 was the right thing. I may or may not have been on a work call at the time with the TV muted and trying not to scream my excitement out. Anyway, you look at the stats. Illinois State absolutely dominated the Bison. Absolutely dominated them. The total yards were not even close. Okay. It was 422 yards for Illinois State to 179 for North Dakota State. And a lot of that came on the first play from scrimmage from North Dakota State. I don't know what was
massive touchdown pass, right?
Yeah. And right there, everyone's here comes the Bison. But that is crazy at home. I mean, I know Illinois State's probably much, much better than where they were seated. It was probably in hindsight an unfair draw for NDSU, but that's absurd. Losing's one thing, but losing to a team at home who throws 5 interceptions and only coming up with 179 total yards. Now, it's amazing. The NDSU run, and they should have known that they're going to hear it from the likes of us. They're going to get the comments like mine about maybe they'll be invited to a bowl game, although that's only half in jest because they're probably better than most, even after that horrific loss, they're probably better than half the bowl teams.
Yeah.
Um, but it just, it's amazing something crazy like this didn't happen over the years. I mean, they've been dominant so many times, but they've also had their fair share of close games. The Illinois State with Trey Lance that year when they were loaded, they barely got past them in a low-scoring affair. They had a couple bounces and maybe calls go their way against Incarnate Word that year after Incarnate beat the infamous Sac State in that absolute crazy shootout. So it's amazing the run has lasted this long. I forget it's been however many years since the semifinal, since JMU came in and knocked them off at home was the last time they didn't make the
16,
semifinals.
Right, because JMU wins the national championship that year, right?
And then as far as quarterfinals go, I don't know if they've ever not made the quarterfinals when they've been a part of the FCS.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that either, but I think so. I think that they have always, since coming up to Division One and starting kind of this run, like if they've been in the playoffs, it's at quarters or bust at least, and so.
Yeah, it's amazing run. Yeah, because I remember one of the first year when Eastern won the championship was at 2010. I was at the game in Bozeman when Bozeman looked pretty darn good up until the third quarter, and the Bison just absolutely pummeled us in the second half, just ran over the top of us. Our line could not withstand theirs. They went up to Eastern, and that was a very close game. Eastern beat them in Cheney, but ended up winning the championship that year. So, yeah, the Bison have been a part of have won it or been this close every year for a long time. All right. That's enough about them.
All right. Moving on now, which by the way, we just got something in the chat there. What about 2020? Yes, 2020, but that was such a weird playoff year. I don't know, man. It feels like everything gets thrown out of the window for that. I mean, Sam Houston State wins the national championship that year. Okay.
One thing it did do is it helped Montana State get into the championship. That's what 2020 did. Anyway.
But all right, man, let's take a look now at Parlay Preaches, because this is one of our favorite segments of the week. And so, Parlay, we're giving you the mic. Preach.
Okay, so normally I'm here to preach, but this time it's looking at myself in the mirror. I'm going to do a little bit of a self-lecture. I made the mistake of listening to the noise. You could say it's hindsight's 2020, but if you watch the pod, if you were texting me on Sunday or Monday of last week, I was very confident the Grizz were going to win. To me, it was that South Dakota State, they look great at times, but ultimately that Nova game, or not Nova, New Hampshire did not come to play football at all. So it looked like they were much better than they were. At the end of the day, they lacked depth, and it was going to be very hard, if not impossible, for them to go into Missoula and win. So I kind of fell into that narrative, kind of got a little wishy-washy on my post. I did bet Montana at -2.5. I made money off the game, but I should have made more. I should have been more confident in my original feeling. And I shouldn't have listened to the noise. And that's a lesson for next week, ladies and gentlemen, because there are going to be lots of overreactions based on last week's results. Okay. So be careful with the noise. Sometimes you got to go with your gut. Sometimes you got to know ball, trust the tape, and trust the process, so to speak. So there's a little bit of a Parlay preaches to himself.
All right, man. Yeah, I mean, it's a good point, right? Because the problem that the Jackrabbits had was that they really struggled defensively against A Grizz team that, I mean, IAT played really well, and they have some serious weapons like Wortham and others on their team, and they really shone on Saturday. And it was they just that Jackrabbits defense really had a hard time with that Montana offense, and it cost them because it's not like they had the worst day. If you they had a not good day running the ball, fine, whatever. But the passing numbers were okay, but they also didn't. I don't think that they got any takeaways either. I don't think they had any interceptions. And if they got any takeaways, it was a fumble. But I think that they were mostly they just didn't force the Grizz into bad situations, right? And so the offense just kept doing. They were just going back to the well on a lot of those folks, and it definitely hurt them.
Yeah, and someone in the comments, Damien makes a good point. It was reminiscent of the marker game. You look the receiving core with Wortham and Davis, where they don't get they don't get the accolades that Lance and the other Bison receivers get, but they gave them just as much, if not more. And actually, I'm looking 1, 2, 3, 4 receivers had more than 50 yards for Montana, and
Yeah,
Drew Deck had 43. So that's just a lot for for a thin, again, South Dakota State, not deep defense due to injuries and what good old Jimmy, hopping Jimmy Rogers,
hopping Jimmy Rogers.
just moved on to greener pastures once again. So yeah, I kind of it is what it is. This round, it'll be interesting. Should they be more worried about the other team from South Dakota? So, you want to talk futures? Those
Let's
are
do.
interesting.
Let's move on and let's talk a little bit about these futures because, like you said, now with the Bison losing, the national championship is essentially wide open. Anybody could win it. Anybody could get hot and win it at this point. I mean, there are obviously some favorites where everyone's going to look at 2 and 3 and say, yeah. But I think that there have also been some teams that have surprised. I don't. USD has performed really well, and maybe that's an indictment on Mercer not playing very well at all because they got absolutely blown out at home last week. But let's talk futures parlay.
Yeah, so we'll go. I'll just read them down the list, and then let's talk what you like. Let's talk value. We'll discuss them a little bit. We'll check the comments section. So the favorite, the top seed left, home field, even though they're on the tough side of the bracket, I think most people would agree is Montana State plus 110. Then the best team, the highest seed on the other side of the bracket, that if everything goes their way, they get home field until Nashville. Tarleton is plus 200. Montana plus 600. That means 6-1, folks. UC Davis plus 1,500, 15-1. SFA, they are plus 2,200, 22-1. South Dakota, the Yotes come in at plus 2,500, 25-1. Nova at 2,700, 27-1. And since I live in a state that doesn't let me bet on college teams in my state, I had to ask a buddy because AI search did not work. Fuck AI. Oops, probably can't say that. Bleep me out there. 22-1 Illinois State. Okay.
Okay.
So I don't know what I'll give my thoughts in a second. What's your favorite value there, Colby?
So immediately, Grizz plus 600 interests me, right? Because there is a chance. Plus 600 is a nice payout, and it's the kind of bet that you don't have to put a lot down to get a lot of value back if you hit. The problem is you have to put your Big Sky and Cat Heart aside and put that bet down and hope that the Grizz win a national championship, which, I mean, I don't know about you, man, but I don't want to see that. But if I'm getting paid, maybe I feel a little bit better about it. But that's one that sticks out to me. Obviously, the Cats, they're getting plus 110. They become the favorite. Probably the books are looking at the brawl win and saying, okay, this is the next best team. This is number 2. But man, that brawl game was close, like that was, in my view, a 50-50 game. And that's why UM at plus 600 is intriguing.
Yeah, and I have to agree. I think plus 600 is going to be the sexy pick.
Yeah.
Montana State, if I don't care if you're the biggest Montana State homer in the world, do not bet them plus 110 to win it all.
Yeah.
Do what's called the money line rollover. Bet a money line to beat SFA, take those profits plus maybe more, put them on the money line of the next game, and then do the same in the championship. The only way that won't pay much better than plus 110 is if loses to South Dakota and Tarleton loses on their side of the bracket. Okay, if both of those teams, if the Montana State has to get through both the Grizz and Tarleton, you'll make a lot more money betting each individual game and rolling things over than betting plus 110. So that's a horrible, horrible bet, even if you absolutely love the Cats and think they're a lock, which they are not, right? So same thing with Tarleton, like 2-1, same thing. You could make much more just rolling over your bet each game. Montana, I mean, if I used to, in the middle of the season, I used to think Tarleton would beat them on neutral field. I now think the Grizz have the slight edge on a neutral field in Nashville. And so you're looking at 6-1 when, hey, maybe there's a 20% chance Montana State loses, God forbid, to SFA, and the Grizz are home against SFA. There's no way SFA wins 2 games around Montana, right? So there's a lot of
man. At this point, I don't know.
I guess you
I really don't know.
What I'm trying to get at is plus 600 is good value. The other one I look at is UC Davis, 15-1. They got a decent chance of having home field. The thing is, I don't see them winning the championship. Davis could make Nashville, but are they going to knock off UM or MSU in Nashville? Pennick could, I guess, have a perfect game. He's extremely talented. Maybe some of their injured guys come back. I don't know. I know they're down a ton of guys, or were at least. But if you had to pick someone else besides Montana 6-1, what are you picking? And again, Illinois State's not on our cheat sheet here, but they're 22-1.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Because after last week's performance, Illinois State at 22-1 looks not bad, right? Like, and that's a huge payout. You don't got to put a lot down. But somebody else made the comment back earlier in the comment section that's an Illinois State team that lost 37-7 to SIU a couple of weeks before. So it makes me wary to be like, they had a good game, they came to play, and they won, and they shocked everyone. Can they keep it going? Because should Tarleton State win this Saturday, I think their game's on Saturday. I have to check because there's a little bit of split. There's some Friday and Saturday action.
Saturday, except for Montana State.
Okay, yeah, the Montana State is the only one on Friday night, which, dude, Friday night in Montana, man, that game is going to be cold. But Tarleton, I doubted them last week. I thought that based on the momentum that North Dakota had, that they were going to go in there, and the way that Austin Peay played Tarleton State at the end of the season, I thought, yeah, maybe North Dakota could beat them. They took care of business. Gabales is a gamer, man. That dude came to play, and he did. And so if Tarleton can beat Nova, which is very, very likely, then they would have to face a tough team. And they also have to beat Davis on the road, because that's kind of funny that that's their reward for beating number one, is that they have to go on the road again this time to the West Coast. Oh man, but it's tough. So if I'm picking one other line that we have sitting here, it's probably them. But if I'm being smart, I don't know, man. I'm sort of, I want to say the Yotes, but it's like, yeah, but dude, the Yotes, do they have the defense to hold down that Grizz offense? Because Ayat's
games in Montana.
Yeah, Ayat's been balling, man. So it's just like, I don't know. So I feel like if I'm putting money elsewhere, it's probably Illinois State, but I don't feel great about it.
Sure. And let's see. Garrett mentioned ISU's got their home field disadvantage. They've won all their games. They've been better on the road this year than at home. So that might be the play. Is them? What did I say? 22, 23 to 1, 22 to 1. So yeah, that could be it. Be careful betting future. Something like for me, the Montana is the obvious one because I think it's the best value and it's a good emotional hedge. I'll never bet enough to where it's worth the Cats losing to them in the semifinal or worth rooting for them if, God forbid, the Cats lose to SFA. But I'll put a little bit on it, or maybe I already have. Okay.
Also, we should note that should that happen, should Montana and Montana State win both of their games this weekend, we will have a rematch of the brawl, but this time, Bozeman.
We do? No.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Let's talk lines. You ready to talk lines?
Yeah, we had a nice rebound last week after a paltry 3-5 the first round. I went 6-2. You went 5-3. It was overall profitable week if we're following our picks here. This week, we could cheat a little bit because these lines have moved a lot. We could say what my picks were on Monday's openings. I don't know why they don't just ask me. Like I could tell them what the line should be before they post a terrible number and then it moves all over the place. But as of right now, we're gonna be fair to the audience so they can bet on or pick the same thing that's actually out there right now. And that being said, first game Friday night in Bozeman.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't checked what the weather is. I'll look at that while I say this. Montana State's favored by 11.5. That game opened at 9.5, and it's been moving up. What do you think?
Yeah. Based on how MSU played last week, Lamson did not have a good game at all. He had a rough game. I think he had a couple of fumbles. I don't think he cracked over 200 yards passing. Like, it wasn't a great day for him, but luckily they have the horses in the running back room to make the difference, and so they did. But based on that, man, like, and the way the SFA took care of business against Abilene Christian, like, that game, it wasn't, they handled it. So it leads me to believe that I kind of want to bet SFA plus 11.5. And it sucks because I feel like as soon as I do that, the Cats their offense is going to figure it out. They're going to blow them out or something. But based on the way last week went, with SFA winning their game handily and MSU struggling mightily with Yale, and the offense, I think that maybe it was the first time the offense scored less than a certain number. I mean, I think, was that the lowest game that they had all season? All right, we'd have to look, but it just wasn't a great offensive.
I was going to make a joke that both teams were studying the Mercyhurst tape. Yale found out how to stop them, and the Cats wanted to reproduce that horrible outcome, even albeit a win. But yeah, I think it was 17-0 Mercyhurst, and what they get last. So and I'm just looking at the weather now. It's actually going to be a high of 54. There's a good chance of rain leading right up to the game. It's a Friday night in Bozeman on a short week. A lot of what I look at on these, take out the Cat emotion and all the feelings I felt on Saturday. They should bounce back, right? And they're the best team left by all metrics. I'm trying to take my fandom out of it. They should cover this. I thought the spread should be 13, even up to 14.5. I loved it at 9.5. I never bet too much on Bobcat games because I get enough emotionally invested in it. But I'm going to take MSU to cover the 11.5.
Okay.
Hope I don't eat crow there. So
yeah. All right. All right. So then next one we have on the list is, keep in mind, folks, only 4 games this week as we get to the quarters. So next up we have Nova taking the trip to Texas now to visit Tarleton State. Tarleton State also getting minus 11.5 here.
Another game, another match that opened, I think, at 8.5. It was below 10, which didn't make sense once again. But, Nova, they got a good draw in the second round. Just an hour bus ride to Lehigh, who didn't really play anyone. Now it's big boy football. Got to go to Texas. Got to play a team that is solid on both sides.
Yeah, it seems like that week off did Tarleton well.
Yeah. And I was on Tarleton last week against UND, and I'm going to be on them again this week. I think they win by 14 plus.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, a lot of folks in the comments are kind of agreeing. Tarleton's going to blow the pants off Nova. Take Tarleton. That's kind of the way I'm leaning. I kind of like Tarleton to cover because if I look at Nova's opponents so far, who'd they play in the first round? I'm trying to remember.
Harvard.
Oh, they played Harvard. That's right. And that wasn't a great game for Harvard. They got absolutely demolished. And then, like you said last week, playing Lehigh, Patriot League champion, who they'll be going there next season as well. So they'll be seeing them often. So they've got some good wins this season, man. And based on the way things went last week, I kind of like them to cover too.
Good. Well, all right. So then we got the Yotes. At the Grizz.
In Missoula.
This could be Yotes they've impressed me the last. I watched the game in that crazy 5-OT game at SIU, which kind of was the beginning of the end of SIU's playoff dreams, and it catapulted the Yotes. I made a comment on Twitter that who the hell thought in late October that the only Dakota team left in the playoffs come whatever day it is, whatever week day it is, Saturday, that USD, the Yotes, would be the only Dakota team left. I mean, if you
reach the quarters, to reach the quarters,
if you could have had odds on that, it would have been 1,000 to 1 or more. Yeah. So, man, this one, the line again opened at 5.5, which terrible line. I unfortunately I bet money on the Grizz. It was up to 9.5. I would love to see it cross 10.5. I don't know if it will. This one to me is the hardest one to pick. What I'm gonna do, Grizz fans will say whatever they want to say, but I'm just gonna go with how I have bet football picked football for the last 15 years. The ebbs and the flows, the overreactions, the comeback to earth. I think the Grizz will win. I do. But Bauman and that running back they got, forgive me for not remembering his name, and just their hot streak, I think they can cover the 8.5. And they always say, you shouldn't necessarily pick a spread unless you think there's a good chance they can win. I don't know how good of a chance there is South Dakota can win. The Grizz got some voodoo magic, that stadium. You got playmakers like they do. Even if they're down late, it's going to be tough for the Yotes to hang on. But 8.5 is a lot of points with how South Dakota's been playing with their experience. I think, someone else, I'm not the only one to mention Bauman. I think, he might be 30 years old by now. But I'm going to take, reluctantly, South Dakota to cover the 8.5.
On this one, dude, because after last week, the Grizz really just poured it on, man. And like you said, the game being in Missoula, those things matter. But USD is, they've been better of late. And so, you're right. 8.5 is a lot. I think I'm going to go with you. I think I'm going to take the Yotes to cover as well. But if Montana comes in and blows the doors off and just absolutely runs them out of the building, I wouldn't be shocked, right? I'd be like,
no, it's not like Montana wins by 14 or 28. I won't be very surprised. I just won't. So I'm just playing, kind of streaky picks here, and I guess maybe trying to go against the grain. Okay. So finally, the game with the least exposure, ESPN Plus, where Montana State's on ESPN. Nova Tarleton is on ESPN2, I believe. Yotes and Grizz are on ABC on Saturday. This one is going to be kind of hidden in the streaming a little later in the afternoon on Saturday. Illinois State opened as the favorite on the road, and it's corrected itself to Davis -2.5. Who do you got?
This is hard, man, because the Davis run game last week was really good. I mean, Pinnock is good, and he had some runs. I think he had like 90 yards rushing himself, but he passed for like 300. But the run game really was the thing that made a huge difference. And so I need to look really quickly at Illinois State. Do you have the stats up for that game? I can't remember if they pretty much. I think they held the Bison to like 69 yards or something like that, didn't they?
174 total, 64 rushing, I think.
64 rushing, right? And so it's just like Davis runs the ball all over Rhodey, and that's how they get it done. But now Illinois State's run defense just shut down the Bison. So man, I kind of like the Redbirds to cover, but it's so close, man. Because like I could see Pinnock then just like absolutely slicing them up in the midfield or something like that. And it's just like, oh man. But let's see what some of the folks here in the chat say. Ron saying Davis at -1.5. It could go either way. That's kind of where I'm at, right? Like, and the thing is that like whoever wins is probably going to cover because that line is so tight. What else we have? Here, Nova Tarleton on regular ESPN. So big time exposure for these games, man. Like it's good. So yeah, man, I think I'm going to take ISU to cover, but I wouldn't be shocked if Pinnock slices them up.
And that Pinnock is what it comes down to. He had 5 touchdown passes. I mean, everyone could see that second half against Rhodey from a mile away, that, them coming all the way to the West Coast, 10 p.m. Eastern start time. I almost fell in the trap of, oh man, Rhodey's looking tough in the first half, but, Davis blew the doors off him in the second half.
Yep.
And he's had,
and there were some weird things in that game too, like field goal that like they said wasn't a field goal, and then Tim Plow was pissed about it. They said he missed, but it like went. I don't know. There was a lot of weird things in that game, but yeah, second half, Aggies handled.
Yeah, and man, I just could see this game, and of course, it's the only game with less than an 8-point spread, so it should be a coin flip. But I'm going to have to go with Davis, even though, again, I just like with the Grizz game, I could look foolish real quick if ISU stays hot and looks as good as – because here's the other thing. I don't know. I spent the first half of the pod talking about the score lied to us in the Bison game, and ISU just blew the doors off them on the stat sheet. But now I'm saying Davis can beat that same. I mean, if Illinois State throws 2 picks or less against Davis on the road, they might win by 20. So I'm just going to have to stick with my gut. I say Davis wins and covers the 2.5.
Yeah, and I think that's how it's going to be, right? Like you're basically picking who wins this game because whoever wins probably covers. All right, and that's the last line. I mean, that's the hard thing about this point of the season is that everyone's good, right? Everyone is good, and so it makes these matchups difficult, but this is what makes the FCS model for the championship the best, is that the best teams filter in, and they're the ones that get that opportunity, so love to see it. Let's take a look at some of these other things. The Rev said he was going to be in yeah, there you go. Yeah, Rev said he's going to be in Bozeman. So, Cat fans, take care of him while he's up there. Welcome him. And safe travels to the Rev up from Texas. But, sorry, man, we're not going to go back. He made it work. He says he'll be in Bozeman. So, look out for him. If he walks past your tailgate, invite him in for a beer. Parlay, any final thoughts, man, before we wrap up this week?
Well, 5-0, baby. 5-0. on Parlay's picks.
Parlay's picks.
And
Let's
it
do it.
wasn't close this last week. I had South Dakota plus 6.5. They barely covered on the road against Mercer. That was a real sweat. And then I had Davis minus 5.5. And again, another no sweater in the second half at least. So easy money last week. This week, I wish I could stay the same. I don't see any easy lines currently. And I can't, even if I thought, I mean, if I didn't have the fandom tied to me, I might say Montana State just because I think the line, whether you're looking at Vegas odds or Massey or whatever, the line could easily be 14-17. SFA is great, and I don't want to touch that with Parlay's picks. I could go square, and I actually did make this bet earlier in the week when the odds were more in my favor, but you could parlay the money lines of all the heavier favorites. That'd be Montana State to win outright, Tarleton to win outright, Montana Grizz to win outright. Currently, that pays minus 104, so it's basically even odds. You bet 140, $100 profit. When I bet it, it was plus 124. I know that's a public square as hell bet, but I like it. That's not my pick. I really want to pass this week to keep the 5-0 and, bring up the Warren Buffett quote, yada, yada.
He retires.
I'm out. I'm George Costanza. See ya.
Yeah.
I think I found a little diamond in a rough, and I should learn my lessons on over-unders, but I never learn lessons. Coastal Carolina comes to mind. People, if you know the legend of Parlay, you know that story. I like the under in the Nova Tarleton game. I think Tarleton holds Nova to less than 13. So Tarleton State could put up 45 and screw me on that. But I think less than 54 is safe. Okay. Something tells me, Nova's going to struggle scoring against them. Tarleton might just grind it to them, hopefully run some clock, come out of there with like a 31-13 type victory. So let's go 6-0, people. Support your Southwest Montana Mountain Bike Association out of Bozeman, and let's enjoy the weekend. And hopefully I see everyone in Bozeman next week. Ooh, it's hard to even go that far ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point, right? Like, football's wrapping up here, man. We've got basically 2 more weeks of football this year, and then we're all waiting to watch what happens in Nashville. And so the FCS season is coming to an end, man. And it's been fun, but it's also been tough. The Rev saying pick the Celebration Bowl. I mean, Parlay, you want to pick the Celebration Bowl, man? I don't even know what the line is on that one.
Oh, let me see. I didn't see the line. Oh, they haven't. That comes closer to the championship, right? They play that a little later because I think bowls.
The SWAC picked their champion last, right? Like, didn't Prairie View win?
No,
the
it's
SWAC?
Saturday now. Okay,
Yeah.
So it is South Carolina State, Prairie View. I didn't see that on FanDuel.
I didn't see who won in the MEAC though. So, but I mean, the way that Prairie View played last week, I think they beat Jackson State. Like,
yeah,
I'd probably pick them money line.
Yeah, this is the content people come for right here. Me being unprepared, not knowing anything about. It's not listed on FanDuel, so hey, tune it Saturday at 11 a.m. on ABC. Okay.
Recent winners of the Celebration Bowl. Would they win it 3 years ago? They were one of the teams that beat Coach Prime to win it. So,
Coach Prime, the Bobby Huck of the HBCUs. Can't win the championship.
Brutal. All right, Parlay. Any final thoughts before we wrap this one up, man?
Go Cats, go.
Yeah. We appreciate all you guys for hopping in the comments, chatting with us. It's always fun. Best of luck if you're traveling for the game. Hope you travel safely. Hopefully you get what you need as you travel out, and that you can also get home safely as well. So enjoy the football this weekend, guys, because like we said, it's wrapping up. And we will see you on the other side with hopefully a little bit more money in our pockets.